This is the summary of chapters 5 through 9 of To Kill a Mockingbird, and we will begin with chapter 5. Chapter 5 starts with the children are playing the game, the Boo Radley game, less frequently, and they're spending more and more time together in the treehouse, specifically Jem and Dill. Scout is being left out. As they get older, they tend to kind of exclude Scout. Because of that, Scout ends up spending more time with Miss Maudie and getting more advice from her and kind of her life experiences. She talks about faith and many other things, including Boo Radley's childhood history. When Scout insists that the boys include her in her plans, they finally tell her that they plan to deliver a note to Boo Radley asking him to come outside, which she ends up having to be a part of because they've confided their plan with her. At the very end, Scout and Dill are posted as guards, and Atticus ends up catching them trying to deliver this note, and Atticus tells them to stop intervening and stop interfering with Boo's business. So that is chapter 5. Chapter 6, Dill's last night in Maycomb. Jem and him and Scout decide that they're going to peep through the window and try to see if they can see Boo Radley. Scout, of course, discourages them from going, but she reluctantly decides to join in because she doesn't want to miss out on the fun. Someone inside the Radley house comes out and they fire a shotgun, startling the kids. The kids run through the fence and Jem ends up catching his pants on the fence. He takes it off, so he's running out just with his underwear on, and the whole neighborhood is gathering in front of the house to figure out what happened. So Nathan Radley explains that he saw somebody in front of in his backyard, and suspected that someone was trying to steal some of his vegetables or something in his home. So he used the shotgun or the shotgun as a warning. So he wasn't trying to aim to kill anyone. So as Jem is standing there, he is found obviously by his dad and by Miss Stephanie that he doesn't have pants on, and Dill actually gets them out of trouble by saying they were playing strip poker with matches. And of course, strip poker with matches is a lot better than with cards, because at that time gambling was a very, very bad thing. One of a higher grade sin than playing with matches. At home, Jem confides with Scout that he's going to go back to get his pants because he really does not want Atticus to find out. Scout, of course, fears for Jem's life. Jem does come back with his pants and nothing else happens in this chapter. But in chapter 7, we find out the real reason that Jem gets super quiet and shudders in his bed after coming back from getting his pants. We find out that Jem's pants, when he gets them back, were sewed together terribly and folded over the fence as if somebody was watching and waiting for him, which really freaks him out. This chapter also includes a lot of different items that they find in the knothole, and at the very end of this chapter, Mr. Radley puts cement inside the knothole because he claims that the tree is dying, when in reality it just makes the kids more curious as to who is really putting items in the knothole. Chapter 8, Maycomb gets snow for the first time. School is closed, and it's like a very fun moment between Jem and Scout where they build a snowman who looks like Mr. Avery. That night, though, Jem and Scout are woken up, and Miss Maudie's house is on fire. Jem and Scout are told to stand in front of the Radleys away from the fire, and as they're waiting and staring at this fire and this scene, Boo Radley actually comes out from behind, puts a blanket around Scout because it's a super cold night without them even knowing. So when Atticus sees Scout with this blanket, he instantly thinks that they ran off and didn't obey him. But in reality, according to Atticus, he saw everybody in the town helping except for Boo. So we can assume that Boo was the one that placed the blanket over Scout's shoulders, which obviously freaks her out because they both realize, Jem and her, that they could have seen Boo for the first time. Miss Maudie is positive and high-spirited about the fact that she lost her home. She is not negatively impacted by this. And then in the final chapter, this is a Christmas time, still in the winter season. Poor Scout is having a really tough time with really negative comments she gets from her friends, family about her dad representing an African American in a case, and because of that, there's a lot of tension. She gets into fights. Her dad tells her to keep her head high, to not fight with her fists, but fight with her head for a change. And then we move to a family gathering with Uncle Jack and Aunt Alexandra and her cousin Frances, and they too get into a fight. Scout punches Frances for calling Atticus names, and Uncle Jack ends up disciplining Scout. We can assume that he spanks her or hits her with something, obviously in a means of disciplining her, because there are a few red marks on her body, and you will read that as well. At the very end, she does tell Uncle Jack that she wishes that he took the time to listen to her, because in reality, Frances did say some really bad things, and Uncle Jack does tell her that he's going to talk to Frances and Aunt Alexandra about it. At the very end, Scout does overhear Atticus and Uncle Jack talking about the Tom Robinson trial, and Atticus really does share his heart that he really does want to do this to pretty much show his kids a higher standard of morality. So enjoy chapters 5 through 9, and yes, these are all really good chapters. Thank you so much.